My learning objective this afternoon is to share with you and explain to you. My learning objective this afternoon is to share with you and to explain to you how Avid helped me to create a model for intentional, purposeful, repeatable student success. I'm an accounting professor at Atlanta Technical College, and the college serves an economically disadvantaged community on the southwest side of Atlanta, Georgia. It's the perfect place to teach because, as you know, academic excellence tends to disrupt generational patterns of poverty. But accounting is tough. And when I started teaching 7 years ago, the attrition rates were high. So 1 in 2, almost 1 in 3 students were failing. And so I became committed to developing as an educator in order to find new ways to help my students succeed. The first thing that I needed to do was to learn how to teach. The next thing that I learned to do was to learn the difference between me teaching something and my students actually learning what I'm teaching. Then, 2 things happened that taught me how to teach students to retain information. The first thing that happened was about a year ago. I began to administer a Nelson-Denny reading test to all of my students. The test will measure the grade level of your students' reading skills. The results I got back were shocking. 38% of my students were reading below the 10th grade level. 15% of my students were reading at the 4th grade level. And so immediately I partnered with our in-house literacy program called the Reading Oasis program, and I customized my lesson plan to give students graded credit for improving their literacy skills. Then the next thing that I did was the only thing I knew how to do in my most objective professional opinion. I began to pray. I prayed, Lord, how am I going to help these students? Tell me what to do next. I do not know what to do. And that's when the second thing happened. 2 weeks later, my curriculum coordinator, Donna Boisseau, walked into my classroom and she said, Mr. Scott, I would like to introduce you to Jonathan Grant Brown. He is here to help us to implement Avid for higher education. Now, it's been said that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, I was that student, and I was ready. And I sat in training sessions with Jonathan. I sat in training sessions with Dr. Tamara Clunas, with Yvonne Ortiz-Prince, all amazing educators. And what they taught me was how to create a collaborative learning environment with high engagement strategies to teach my students how to retain information. Dr. Betty Crone would say, they taught me how to get the students to the why of things, okay? Students always want to know, Mr. Scott, why do we do things? Why are we doing things the way we're doing? Why? Why do we do this? Mr. Scott, why don't you lecture as much as you used to lecture? Well, because research and anecdotal evidence suggests that you only retain about 5 to 7% of what I lecture over. Mr. Scott, why do we have to do so much group work? Well, because, again, research indicates that you retain 80 to 90% of the concepts you spend time teaching one another. Well, if all this retention is going on, then why do we have to use Cornell notes? Why do we have to use Costas levels of critical thinking? Well, because you're being taught how to break down, organize, and master any information, no matter how rigorous. Get it straight. I don't teach accounting. I use accounting to teach students how to believe in themselves. My message to educators is that Avid can take your gift for teaching and turn it into a model for intentional, purposeful, repeatable student success, for showing you how to create a collaborative learning environment with high engagement strategies that's going to help your students to retain the information. And if you have those 3 things, collaborative learning, high engagement, students retaining information, you can create a model for systematic, repeatable student success even when your students have statistically significant academic deficiencies. I am a witness. I close today with a poem that was taught to me by my professor at Indiana University. And after he taught me this poem, I graduated, moved to Chicago, and I called back and I asked him, why did you write this speech? Where did this speech come from? And he told me he was in his home getting ready for a party over the course of 3 days when he happened to notice a spider web in the corner of the ceiling. Thinking nothing of it, he grabbed a broom and he tore it down. On the second day, he noticed that the spider web was back, but this time it was bigger. Again, he tore it down. Third day of the party, he's putting the finishing touches on everything when he notices that the spider web is back. It's bigger, and this time it's more intricate than the two before it. And so now Dr. Mumford is staring into this web, trying to figure out what is this spider trying to teach him. And he said his frustration turned into inspiration when he got the revelation that spiders don't know defeat. They only know creativity. And so in homage to that spider, about 15 minutes before his guests were to arrive, he put pen to paper and he wrote, "Be a dreamer of dreams and a weaver of webs of hope, but let success not be measured by the dreams that reach fruition, nor by the webs that finalize in geometric perfection. Measure your success by the speed of your recovery from broken dreams and tangled webs. Arise from the ashes and dare to dream anew. Dare to see the final strand more intricate than any before it. And waste no time gathering fragments of shattered dreams, lest perhaps to place them between the pages of volumes cast aside to stumble upon some rainy day when words can soothe your pain. But as for this day, go wandering off to another path with a whistle in your throat. Be a dreamer of dreams and a weaver of webs of hope." Thank you.